So again, I appreciate everyone assembling here on short notice. As you know, this morning we announced my decision to begin a search for the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the announcement followed a very warm and positive discussion I had with Doug this morning, and also obviously last week and over the last year. As difficult as the occasion was for both Doug and myself, I mean, it served a reminder of Doug's quality as a head coach and a person. There's no doubt in my mind that this is the time to make a change in the best interests of the football team, community, and especially our fans. But this decision doesn't erase the fact that Doug did a lot of good things here in Jacksonville. I have a lot of respect for Doug and will always be grateful for his effort. Now we're in a moment of opportunity for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I am energized by what is possible with all we have to offer our new head coach, and look forward to the process, a process that's already begun. So with that, I'm happy to join and answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. We're actually going to get started with Gene Fournette of the Florida Times Union.
Yes, Shad and Trent, thank you for making yourself available. Shad, this is certainly nothing personal directed at you or at Trent, but at the heart of the matter, why is it you decided to split the baby in terms of your leadership structure? Why did you do it the way you did?
Gene, to use your example, because I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, okay? We have a lot of things that are working that can always be improved and will improve. And there are other things that are not working that need to be fixed. So, the coaching, that is an area that, we need to fix now. But certainly over the last few years, I mean, we built a football administration and, a lot of things are working well there.
Can you say specifically what it was about the coaching that compelled you to make the move that you did?
Okay. Gene, I mean, if we go back, 3 years ago or 3 seasons ago, obviously we made the playoffs. We're in the division game. Last year, we started off 8-3 and then went 1-5, okay, and didn't make the playoff. It was a winning season, but didn't make the playoffs. And after that, I started really right in Nashville, sat down with Doug, okay, what are we going to do? And he identified, on the defensive side, we needed to change the staff and so on. And as the season, progressed, obviously we weren't doing well. We were close, like yesterday, but not close enough to win the game. And then as I spoke to Doug even last week for a good length of time, I just came to the conclusion what we were doing was not working and a change in direction was needed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gene. All right, we're going to go to Brent Martineau with Action News and then Mike Duraco of ESPN.
Hi there, Shad and Trent. Trent, you know how the league works. You guys obviously were disappointing this season based on expectations. Are you surprised you're still the general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I don't know if surprised is the right word. That's not my decision. That's the decision of ownership, and I certainly respect the decision that's been made, and don't take the job lightly. The real fact, the bottom line is we weren't productive on the field. We didn't win enough games, and I don't shy away from that. I'm just as responsible as anybody else. And, all we can do now is roll up our sleeves and go to work.
And Trent, there were rumors last year or reports that you were contemplating retirement. Was that on the table? Was that true? Is it on the table this year at all that's any a part of your plan?
No, the only discussion I would have if I was going to have a discussion like that would be with my wife. So, that's not been on the table. I think when you're in these jobs, there's a lot of thoughts that cross your mind, but, my focus is on getting this ship righted. And in order to do that, you got to be fully in. You can't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And that's what I intend to do.
Shad, do you think this, obviously you stood up in front of the team and said this was the best team ever assembled. With your actions today, it looks like you blame Doug and the coaching staff a little bit more for disappointing. Is that fair to say?
Well, I mean, we're all in this together, okay? So that includes me, obviously, includes Trent, includes everyone, on the football side. But I think it's where we need, the most change is really, is on the coaching side, and that's where we're starting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brent. We're going to go to Mike Duraco and then Mark Long.
Hello, Shad. Thank you. Did you at any point before you sat down and talked with Doug and Trent consider a complete overhaul of the program or the franchise? And if so, why?
Well, what is a complete overhaul of the franchise? Okay. We have, I think if you look at it, health and wellness, obviously, of the players, medical, statistics, analysis, scouting, and, number of other elements along with, contract administration, all of those areas, we have really changed, improved, certainly over the last 4 or 5 years. So to change all of that is almost like suicidal. That you've got 85 people working on that side, and you say, I'm going to get rid of them and find 85 new people that are going to be better than that. That's like shooting yourself in the foot. I mean, we need to go to work on something that is broken, that needs to be fixed, and continually be improving things that are working.
I believe Trent was 25 is the last year of Trent's contract. Do you give him an extension? Because it would seem a little bit lopsided to bring in a new coach with a GM who's on an expiring contract.
I don't think that's really, relevant. I think what's important is the structure we've had, and, it's work, which is both Doug and Trent reporting to me. And that way, if there are issues that can be addressed openly, honestly, I think, Doug was there this morning at MEC. He spoke to the players. And I mean, there's no disharmony or, as far as that goes. So, and, whoever a new head coach is, it's going to be my job that similarly, our job is to support the head coach. What Trent is doing, what I'm doing, the rest of the people are doing are really like, service providers and serving the head coach to succeed.
And just one more, one more really quick. Is there any consideration of, bringing in an executive vice president the way you had with Tom Coughlin?
Well, we can always, it's got to be the right person. Okay. And it's got to be, and frankly, I mean, we need to add some people. I mean, we're lean. But if you look at again on the football side, I mean, we've added people, we've changed some people, and if we find the right person, definitely.
Thank you.
Thanks, D-Rock. We're going to go to Mark Long of the Associated Press and then Hayes Carline of 10 Minutes Out.
Hi, Shad. Thanks, Trent. Trent's hit on some picks, and then there have been some misses there. This last free agent class was mostly a wash. What has he done to give you confidence that this will this will work moving forward, Shad?
Well, Mark, I think if you look at the body of work, and certainly over the last 5 years, you look at the building building blocks of players we're building the team around. You look at our salary cap. You look at the number of draft picks we have now, and also making sure that our key players are, getting paid. All of that has happened, and we haven't mortgaged our future, so to speak. And some of the decision making, do we pay our players or let them walk, so to speak, and then replace them with draft and improve the players? That's happened in the last 2 drafts. Number 1 receiver and right tackle would be something, Mark, that comes to mind right away.
Sure.
So, we can get in the granular thing. Overall, I think, it's pretty good. But again, I think I want to go back to that all of the stuff that's being done, every player that came in, whether through the draft or free agency, wasn't a person's choice like Trent or myself or the coach for that matter. It was a collaborative effort that here, what are the schemes, what kind of players we need, and so on. So, so if things didn't work out, it's just not one person's.
I got you. And for Trent, why do you think it didn't work out? And then what is the plan? What can be a quick fix moving forward? What do you think is the quickest way to get to a fix quickly?
Well, I think the first thing we got to do is identify who the head coach is and then bring in a staff. And as Shad mentioned, there's a lot of good people in this building, from the coaches on through personnel and all the support staff. So, we don't need to fix everything. We just need to fix some things. And I think identifying that person that can come in and then sit down with the staff that we put together around him and really take a look at the roster. Again, we do this with every year. Take a hard look at the roster, identify who the players are that you have to put in a position to win games for you, and then surround them the best you can with free agents and or draft picks. And that's the process isn't going to change. We just have to do some things a little different, a little better.
Thanks, Mark. All right, we're going to go to Hayes Carline and then Jamal St. Cyr.
Hey, Shad, appreciate your time. Hey, Trent. Shad, you mentioned being lean. I'm curious, who outside of Trent do you lean on football related decisions? Who's sort of your brain trust outside of Trent?
Well, I think obviously, Doug was, okay. The coordinators were. So like, a decision like, Trevor, for example. I believe in him, but everyone, whether his position coach, OC, everyone weighed in, and it was very positive. And then, outside the football building, I think Ethan is another one. Really competent. You've got analytics that is, gives you a measurement. It's like we were, I think, 20th last year on defensive side. We're 32 now. Okay, so that right there kind of tells you that in trying to get better, we got much worse, and that's part of our problem. So you don't need someone's advice or sounding board to tell you that. I think those metrics kind of speak out very loud. And then you end up with a network of not only other owners, but some of the NFL infrastructure to really get a sense and a viewpoint of where things are.
And then from an alignment standpoint, having a new head coach that'll be on a separate timeline, obviously, from Trent, who's been here for several years. Does that worry you at all that you won't be able to have a full pool of coaching candidates?
No, not at all. I mean, I think, we have a very compelling case of what we can offer the head coach. I think, and you know that. I think the players, where we stand, on our draft, our salary cap, the city, the bricks and mortars, the facilities, our division. I mean, it's a very, very compelling case. And, but I want the head coach, which we did last time. I mean, they need to be comfortable what we're doing. Our job is, to be able to provide them with all the resources they want. So, we'll go through that process. And it's got to work for them.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Hayes. Let's go to Jamal St. Stephen, John Shipley.
Hey, Shad, the question I had was, will the next head coach report directly to you?
Doug reported directly to me.
Right.
Okay. So really that was, when we hired Doug, that was, the alignment of the process, that he was reporting to me and Trent was reporting to me. Okay. And and that would be, that's worked very well.
Are there any qualities that stand out that you want in your next head coach?
Well, I think, we obviously, want him. I mean, we want him to represent the city and the team, obviously, well. We want him to win. And, right now, we are the most predictable team on both sides of the ball, okay? And football, to win, deception is a big part of it, unpredictability. If you know exactly what we're going to do on offense or defense, you better have the 22 best players, to help us win a football game. So being unpredictable is, I think, is modern football, and we have to be able to show that on the field.
And one last one for Trent. What makes this time different? This is going to be your third head coach here. You had a few head coaches there in San Francisco. What are you going to do differently this time to make this marriage between you and a head coach work?
No, that marriage is the right. I think Doug and I were aligned, very aligned. Had very open and honest conversations with Doug for 3 straight years. So I don't know that the marriage factor. This is a situation where you go out and you pick the best person you can pick, and you go to work. You roll up your sleeves and go to work. Nobody has a crystal ball. Mistakes are made and all the time in this business, and you gotta self-correct. And Doug and I enjoyed some really good times here. And as Shad mentioned, that first year and a half, things were rolling, and there were a lot of good things that Doug brought to this. And I don't want to short sight that. There are a lot of good things that Doug brought to this organization, and I certainly wish him well and his family well as he moves forward. But now it's about going on to the next journey and trying to get this one right for the long haul. And that's not taking anything away from what Doug accomplished here. Because again, I think if you look back, the things he brought to this organization, a lot of positives, and I don't want the fan base or anybody to forget that.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to John Shipley and then Mia O'Brien.
Shad and Trent, thank you for taking the time to do this. Shad, I know that you said you don't believe, retaining Trent will impact the potential candidate pool, but if there are candidates who have reservations, not even specifically about Trent, but just about there not being a clean slate, what would your reply, I guess, to that to be?
What do you mean by clean slate?
I guess walking into a situation that already has a general manager, they're not necessarily coming in with somebody who they're starting at the same time as, I guess I would say.
It's so, that's the definition of clean slate. What we want to do is for them to have an environment where they're going to be successful. Okay. And they say, I want my own quarterback. I want my own health and wellness. I want my own doctors. It's like you do that unless they have identified. I mean, somebody was to say that, I would want to really go through that, in depth, because if we can get better, they have a better doctor, and Kevin Kaplan is like among the top 2 or 3 best doctors in NFL, for example. Okay, same thing. A lot of things we're doing, I would want to listen to them and get better. And if they have reservations, I would want to address them honestly and openly. Okay, because our goal is they need to be successful. What do we have to give them to be successful? Okay. So, fear, preconceived notions, whatever, that can inhibit, the right performance. But if they need something, obviously we want to listen and we want to improve. I mean, I know we can improve.
And then quick follow-up from me. Do you expect this to be, as long as obviously the right hire is made, do you expect this to be a quick turnaround, even as quickly as maybe a year?
I mean, I think so. I mean, if our defense would improve, get to the middle of the pack, we were what, 2-10 this year? I mean, how many of those games, we could win? And I think the schemes on offense just being less predictable, I think, we could be more productive on offense. And we have the ability through the draft coming up and salary cap to be able to, use that to get more specific players we were seeking. So, I mean, I expect this, for us to have success very quickly.
Thank you. And then just one question for you from me, Trent. In terms of the interview process, do you guys expect to put in requests today, or what does that timeline really look like from your guys' end?
I think the short answer to that is yes. I mean, we're going to move quickly to get some people lined up to talk to. How long that process takes, I think Shad mentioned, it's going to take as long as it takes to identify the right individual. And is that 1 interview? Is that 2 interviews? I think, we're going to do our due diligence and be very thorough in this process.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go to Mia O'Brien, then Gary Smith.
Hi, Trent and Shad. Thanks so much for doing this. I'd actually like to go back to John's first question, Shad, back to you. I know you noted that if this head coaching candidate was to say, hey, I think the medical needs to be reevaluated, the health and wellness, if they were to say, I would like to reevaluate the front office and the general manager, what would your response be?
My response would be, how would you improve it? And then if it is credible, I mean, you want to do it. Okay. So, how does a structure work? I mean, I just want to make sure that this isn't about ego or power or, something more sinister, quite frankly. There have been some of those elements, that I've found, in my experience, in the NFL. I mean, if it's a legit effort to get better, then everything, should be on the table.
Shad, as you made this decision, I'm just curious, and not to ask who your friends are around the league, but I know once upon a time you used Bill Polian as a source for you. Who have been some of the people you've leaned on as you made this decision to fire Doug and keep Trent?
Well, I mean, this is, my decision. Okay. So, I think Bill Polian that you recommended, I mean, I've known him, obviously he's served on various, NFL committees over time, but, these wouldn't be the kind of things I'd be talking to him.
I was just curious in terms of,
Yeah.
Are you guys going to be using a searching firm, or was there any other allies you kind of used as you came to this final decision?
I mean, this is, this is my decision, and and I think I kind of articulated some of the reasons, I think.
Awesome. And then just to clarify,
to
clarify, will Trent be leading the search then, or are you guys going to bring in outside help?
No, I think this, I'm not sure what you mean by leading the search. I think, we will put in, our request for candidates, and then, interview them, and we want them to interview us. what we have, and really be open how we can be better, whether it's organizationally, people, whatever. And if it's, legitimate, compelling, certainly I'm open to everything.
The Jets hired a 33rd team search firm. That's why I wasn't sure if you guys were using an outside firm. Thank you, Shad. Thank you, Trent.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mia. All right, we're going to skip Gary, whose question was already asked, and go to Jordan DeLugo and then Zach Goodall.
Hey, thanks for doing this, guys. Shad, when you talk about success, is there a clear understanding or a clear goal in mind when it comes to success moving forward for this franchise?
Well, you've got to be, you have to be shooting for the playoffs, I think, every year.
And Trent, when you look at shooting for the playoffs every year, do you feel like this can be done very quickly when it comes to getting back into the playoffs, maybe competing for the AFC South in 2025?
I do. I think when you look at where we were in 22, leading into the 22 season, and going from where we were in 21 to 22, I don't think there's any reason why we can't repeat that. I think there's a lot of good young players on this team. There's a lot to look forward to. And the fan base deserves that. They deserve a winner, and that's what you set out to do every day you wake up, come into the building, and we've got a great group of people in this building that have that mindset. So I do think this thing can be flipped and flipped quick, and looking forward to getting to work on it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan. All right, we've got time for two more. We'll do Zach Goodall and then Justin Lewis.
Hi, Shad and Trent. I appreciate your guys' time. How influential, I guess this goes to both of you, how influential will Trevor be in this process, if at all? Is he someone that maybe you would want to go to just consult with about potential candidates and get his comfort level, or leave him out of it and the decision to you guys?
I talk to the players regularly, okay? So, and I don't want to identify Trevor or anyone else by name, but, listen to, what's going to make them successful. But this isn't, let's be clear, a second coming of Aaron Rodgers 2.0, okay? So we're going to do the right thing for the team. And obviously, our goal is if Trevor doesn't get better, the other players don't get better, we're not going to win. So the coaches coming in know who our foundational players are, and they have to be committed to, making them better.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. All right, we're going to finish with Justin Lewis of the Florida Times Union.
Hi, guys. Thanks for doing this. I was just going to ask Trent, are you concerned at all about the injuries that I know it's obviously going to happen, but you have 5 offensive starters go down towards the tail end of the season and, have to be put on IR. Is that a concern moving forward?
Well, it's always a concern when you have injuries. Some of them are unavoidable, and injury in this business is unavoidable, and you got to be able to overcome those. You look at Detroit, for instance, the number of injuries they've had this year, and they're able to overcome them. We aren't to that point. We need to get there. But the players that when Shad mentioned earlier about the health and wellness of the players and the group that we have working with the players, it couldn't be any better. We don't have a lot of soft tissue injuries. We don't have a lot of minor things that take place. The injuries we do have are unfortunate, but they're part of the business. And again, you just got to be able to overcome them. So I'm very confident in this group of players and very confident in the group that's working with these players to keep them healthy and keep them going.
And then just one more from me. To those guys, Christian and Evan, do you think they'll be back going into this next year?
Again, I met with a lot of these players this morning. A lot of guys stopped by after the team meeting and shared some thoughts with them as we move forward. But there's going to be time to process all of this stuff. These guys are under contract. They're committed to this organization. We're going to first work on getting a new staff in here, new head coach, new leadership. and then, sit down with them and go through the roster, every individual, their specific situation relative to contracts and everything else. There's a lot of things to process over the next couple months as we move forward, but it'll all be done in due time.